And I want to say thank you to Angel Oakley for taking some time out of her busy schedule to interview with us. Hi, Angel.
Hi, CD. How you doing?
I'm doing great, kiddo. First, I want to ask you, you came to unGeeked Milwaukee. That was your first unGeeked. Could you tell me, one, how did you hear about us? Why did you come? What was your experience, and what did you take away?
Well, I heard about unGeeked from you. I connected with you on Twitter, and we had a great dialogue and met downtown. And after hearing about the format, I was so inspired because I had started speaking on social media back in 2008. And with all of my workshops, I walked into them with the idea that this was a Web 2.0 presentation. And so I treated it that way, which meant that it was about giving them dynamic content, giving them what they wanted. So while I had a general presentation put together, I always started each session off by asking everybody who they are and why they were here and what they were looking to get out of it. And I made sure that at the end of every session we had covered all of those elements. And when you had explained unGeeked and what you were trying to do with unGeeked, I thought that was revolutionary to take it to the conference level to do that. I hadn't seen that done before, and I was very interested to see how you were going to pull that off. And after going to Milwaukee, I was not only so impressed with the format, but I also hadn't thought of Milwaukee as a location for a social media conference like that. And there were so many amazing people from Milwaukee that really had been tapped into the market and knew what they were doing. And I made so many great connections with locals as well as people that I had been connected with on Twitter for quite some time but didn't know personally in real life. So I was energized, excited. I learned a lot. I made great connections. There were just so many wonderful things that I got out of unGeeked Milwaukee.
And what was your final takeaway? If you say that you could, when you got back to your desk, was there anything that you sat down and said, I need to try and work on this right away?
It changed the way that I communicated with some of the contacts that I already had, because once you have that real life interaction with some of those people, your dialogue changes on Twitter and your comfort level and just the way that you view them as a resource changes. And so when I got back and then I was able to get in and dialogue with them like real friends, it enhanced my Twitter experience overall.
Now, you also spoke at the unGeeked Toronto, and you were a discussion leader because we are no longer calling them speakers, because speakers point and discussion leaders engage. So you were a discussion leader over in Toronto, and what was your experience in Toronto?
Well, Toronto was similar to Milwaukee in a lot of ways in that it was a great, tight-knit group of people because we got to spend 3 days together getting to know one another and our businesses. They had some different issues because it was in another country. They had some different laws, and as far as my topic on social media policies, that was definitely something I had to take into consideration as I primarily deal with more of our laws here in the United States. But all the same, it was great to meet a lot of people from Toronto, as well as I think we had a couple from London.
Yes.
And then some people from the United States. So it was a really diverse crowd. And it took a little bit less for them to figure out the format. I think it was about a half a day. The first 4 sessions, we were kind of walking through that normal process where they were used to listening to a speaker instead of engaging. So it took them a little while to get their questions going. But then they were off and running, and the engagement was wonderful. Throughout my presentation, I had so much engagement that I really did feel like a true discussion leader. Like I was directing it, but really they were getting to discuss amongst themselves and bring up what was important to them, and I was able to facilitate that.
What do you think about the format? Because That's something you just mentioned. unGeeked is an intimate setting, and the reason why we're intimate setting because we want people to be able to engage, not just with the discussion leader, but also because we sit people in round tables, so they can look at each other and engage with one another. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that intimacy, I like to call it, you're better able to foster that back and forth and that give and take conversation. What did you think about that format?
I think that's ideal because it keeps the audience connected. I've noticed in a lot of conferences nowadays, people are there, but you're never really sure if they're there because they're looking in their computers or they're trying to multitask because we're so convinced that we can multitask and do it all well. So when I go to a lot of these conferences, I think to myself, are they paying attention or are they really engaged in their conversation? And the neat thing about the unGeeked format is because it is an open dialogue, it really encourages people to still stay engaged, even if they are tweeting. And you know that when they are tweeting, they're tweeting about what's going on in the room and not some other conversation that they're having. So I really felt that it was one of the most actively participative group I had ever been part of.
And without giving away too much of the kitchen sink, tell us a little bit about your topic that you're going to be discussing in Chicago.
Okay, well, I'm going to be talking about social media policy and a little bit about the liability issues that follow with the use of social media. I just had a prospective client ask me the other day, why would companies need social media training on an enterprise level if they only have a couple of people in their company using social media on behalf of the company? I said, well, how many people in your company or in any company are using it for personal use?
Good.
And when they use it for personal use, what are they talking about? They're talking about what they know. And oftentimes that ends up being your business. So how are they using your brand? What are they saying about it? If somebody's saying something bad about your brand, are they running in to defend it? And does that mean they're dropping an F-bomb to somebody because they were being rude? You know, there are just so many things that play into having this open dialogue on the internet. And people need training to understand how to conduct themselves properly. And free speech is, well, with limitation.
Anything free has limitations. I think that's going to be a great topic. We can see just during the Twitter chats, you mentioned policy, and there's so many different perspectives out there. So I think you're going to get a lot of engagement on that topic for sure. Well, I want to say thank you for taking the time again to speak with us regarding unGeeked. Thank you so much for not just your first and second time, but now your third time in Chicago as a discussion leader. And I want to make sure that we are inviting people to unGeeked Chicago, May 12th through 14th at the University Conference Center. And are you going to be able to participate in the Chris Brogan Roast?
I would really love to, but I am not sure based on the fact that I have master's classes that evening, so I'm still working that out with professors.
Well, if you work it out, we'll be glad to see you there. So thanks, Angel, and you make it a great day.
You too.
Thanks, kiddo. Bye-bye.